So I have with me here one half of the God-gifted athletes. I forgot to ask before if you prefer to go by Mike Rallis, what Madcap Moss, what's the name you go by right now?
Honestly, I've never been one to take it too personally if people want to use the Madcap, Riddick, or just my real name, Mike.
I mean, personally, I used Riddick, but I'm, a hipster douchebag kind of guy.
Yeah, that's kind of the Riddick is kind of like the hardcore fans now. Madcap was kind of the mainstream.
Yeah. So you are an actual product of the Performance Center, as opposed to, somebody who did work indies and then adjusted to the system. You are through and through trained through the PC. Yeah. You went from football into wrestling. How was that transition in that environment for you?
There was some things that were smooth and some things that were difficult. I think, growing up as a wrestling fan was a huge advantage because there were some people who, there's just certain things and mannerisms that come more naturally, movements, when you know what the product is kind of supposed to look like, which can be also, if you are too much of a typical pro wrestler, that can work against you. But I think the things that were natural for me were some of the basic movements and the athletic stuff. I think what was difficult for me to learn was that more so than football, where there's some artistry in how you attack a play on defense, for instance. But really, there's kind of a right way to do things and a wrong way to do things. And in wrestling, there's just a spectrum of ways to do things. And I kind of had to learn, I just need to find out for myself what works for me and what doesn't. So I would say that was the biggest transition for me.
Absolutely. In the black and gold, you both had a decent little singles run, and you were a tag performer. Do you have a preference, tag wrestling versus singles wrestling?
I definitely early on when I was in the tag team with Tino, I wished I was a singles wrestler because you just have more control over everything, and the singles matches tend to get the spotlight. But as I grew as a performer and just as a person, really, I look back on that time and wished I would have taken advantage of the chemistry that Sabby and I had, which I do think we had something there, and I could have committed to the whole team more, because tag team wrestling is really fun in its own way. It allows you to play off of not only your opponent but your teammate as well, and just it's an added dimension. So I ended up doing a lot of my career in a tag team. Also with Happy on the main roster, we weren't a traditional tag team, but we did a lot of tag matches, and same kind of dynamic where you can play off your partner and your opponent. So tough to say. I guess probably I would lean singles wrestler, but I like tag wrestling too.
For sure. When you made your main roster debut, it was as a heavy for Mojo.
Yeah.
You actually, I guess I'm going to ask you if you feel this counts, because I think it does. Technically, your main roster debut, you became a champion, because your first match technically was pinning the 24/7 champ.
Yeah.
Do you consider? Do you go back? Yeah, I won a title in my first match on the main roster.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's absolutely worthwhile.
Yeah. Funny debut. There was a lot of miscommunication between the creative team and us, and Mojo called me his offensive lineman, which we thought was like a corny football reference, but they were like, all right, we'll just do what they want. And then we got backstage and they were like, why'd you do the football reference? And I'm like, we didn't want to. That's what you guys said. And also, I let him get pinned on the very first moment I was supposedly protecting his blind side. So
well, how are you
not
know? You didn't have a
lineman.
manager's license. You didn't know what you needed to do.
Right, exactly, yeah. So looking back on it, not the best debut ever in the history of wrestling, but pretty funny. And as you said, my first match ever became a champion, so can't complain too much.
That's brilliant. Do you have anything that you want to plug?
Honestly, no. I just appreciate the time to talk to you.
Cheers. Well, we'll plug Tennille's socials twice.
You definitely can go find me on her social media. So Real Tennille Dash.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time, and again, congratulations on the baby. Be safe and happy in Vegas. Otherwise, you might have a second one on the way right away, because it's that kind of city.